Ever look at a red Ferrari and immediately hear that iconic theme music? Yeah, you're not alone. For 8 glorious years in the 1980s, one Ferrari 308 GTS became possibly the most famous car on television. But here's the thing, almost everything you think you know about Magnum's ride is probably wrong. From secret car swaps to Tom Selleck literally not fitting in the thing, we're counting down 20 weird facts about the Ferrari 308 GTS from Magnum PI. That'll make you see that red beauty in a whole new light. Number 20, the multiple car mystery. So you thought Magnum drove one Ferrari for the entire series? Think again. The show actually used 3 different 308 GTS models throughout its run. We're talking about a 1979 carb model, a fuel-injected GTSI, and later a 1984 Quattrovalvole. That's right, they were swapping cars faster than Magnum could say, "I know what you're thinking." The producers didn't just grab one car and call it a day. They systematically upgraded the vehicles as newer models became available. What's really wild is that most viewers never noticed the switch. The cars look similar enough that unless you were a serious Ferrari enthusiast, you'd never spot the differences. The carbureted model from '79 had a distinctly different sound from the fuel-injected versions. The Quattrovalvole, that was a whole different beast with 4 valves per cylinder instead of 2. But here's where it gets really interesting. They didn't just use one of each model. Oh no, they had multiple copies of each version for different shooting scenarios. We're talking about at least 5 cars of each model year. Some were kept pristine for those gorgeous close-up shots where Magnum's looking contemplative. Others, well, let's just say they took a beating during the action sequences. The stunt cars versus the beauty cars were kept completely separate. The close-up versions were babied like newborns, while the action cars got absolutely hammered week after week. Number 19, the Robin 1 license plate conspiracy. Here's something that'll blow your mind. Every single Ferrari on that show shared the exact same license plate. Robin 1, not Robin 2 for the backup car, not Robin 3 for the stunt double, just Robin 1, all of them. It's like they existed in some weird parallel universe where multiple cars could have the same plate. This wasn't just lazy prop management either. It was a deliberate nod to the mysterious Robin Masters, the wealthy benefactor we never actually saw on screen. Or did we? That's a whole other conspiracy theory. But think about the logistics here. They're driving multiple cars around Oahu, filming in public locations, and somehow nobody at the DMV had a problem with this. The plate became so iconic that replica plates now sell for hundreds of dollars to collectors. What's even stranger is that in one episode, a green 308 GTSI appears with a different plate, Robin 23, supposedly driven by Robin Masters' nephew, so they could make different plates. They just chose not to. The continuity department must have had nightmares about keeping track of which car was where. Imagine the conversation. Quick, we need the Robin 1 car. Which one? The Robin 1. They're all Robin 1. It's like some sort of automotive Abbott and Costello routine. Number 18, Ferrari's secret sponsorship deal. You might assume the show bought or rented these Ferraris. Nope. Ferrari North America provided them directly. This wasn't some standard product placement deal either. Ferrari basically became an unofficial sponsor of the show, lending out these incredibly expensive vehicles for free. Why would they do that? Simple. It was the best advertising they never paid for. Think about it, every week millions of Americans tuned in to watch this mustache detective cruise around paradise in a Ferrari. The brand recognition was through the roof. Sales of 308 models in the US reportedly jumped significantly during the show's run. But here's where it gets interesting. Ferrari had strict rules about how the cars could be used, no crashes that would make the car look unsafe, no scenes that would damage the brand's prestige. They were basically Ferrari's babies on loan. The arrangement was so unusual that it set a precedent for future car placements in television. Other manufacturers started looking at Magnum PI as the gold standard for automotive product placement. Ferrari, North America's gamble, paid off massively. The 308 GTS became synonymous with 80s cool. Even today, mention a red Ferrari from the 80s and most people immediately think of Magnum. That's marketing you literally can't buy. Number 17, the post-show Ferrari shuffle. What happened to these Ferraris after filming? They didn't end up in some Hollywood car graveyard. Ferrari North America took them back, and here's where it gets really interesting. They repainted them, they serviced them, and then They sold them as used cars, that's right. Some unsuspecting buyer in the mid-80s might have purchased a Ferrari that Tom Selleck had been driving just months earlier. No special plaque, no certificate of authenticity, just a regular used Ferrari sale. Can you imagine discovering years later that your car was actually used in Magnum PI? The company would completely refurbish these vehicles, removing any trace of their television past, new paint jobs to cover any wear from filming, fresh interiors to replace anything damaged during production. They essentially gave these cars new identities. It's like a Ferrari witness protection program. Some of these cars have since been identified and authenticated, but who knows how many former Magnum Ferraris are sitting in garages around the world, their owners completely unaware of their vehicles' television heritage. The thought is kind of mind-blowing. You could be driving Thomas Magnum's actual car and never know it, unless of course you start growing a suspicious mustache and developing an urge to wear Hawaiian shirts. Then, you might want to check your car's history. Number 16. The Auction House Surprise. In recent years, one of the authenticated Magnum Ferraris went up for auction. The 1984-85 season car, a 308 GTS QV, not even a rare supercar by Ferrari standards. Just a regular production 308, it sold for $181,500. Let that sink in. A car that originally sold for around $60,000 in the 80s fetched nearly $200,000, and this wasn't because it was mechanically special. It wasn't faster than other 308s. It didn't have some secret turbo upgrade. The only thing special about it was that Tom Selleck sat in it while cameras rolled. The auction house had certificates proving this specific car was used in filming. They had documentation from Ferrari. They even had photos from the set showing this exact vehicle. The bidding was intense. Collectors from around the world wanted a piece of television history. The final buyer? They remained anonymous, but rumors suggest it was someone who grew up watching the show. The sale price set a record for non-special edition 308 models. It proved that television provenance could literally triple a car's value. Other Magnum Ferraris that have surfaced since have commanded similar premiums. It's created a whole subcategory in the collector car market, screen-used vehicles. And Magnum's Ferrari sits at the top of that pyramid. Number 15. The Tom Selleck size problem. Tom Selleck is 6 feet 4 inches tall. The Ferrari 308 GTS, it was designed for average-sized Italian men. You see the problem, the production crew had to get creative. Really creative. First solution, remove all the padding from the driver's seat, just rip it out. Tom was basically sitting on a thin piece of leather over metal frame. Comfortable? Absolutely not. But it gave him the extra headroom he desperately needed. Even with the seat modification, getting in and out of the car was a production in itself. They had to choreograph his entrances and exits carefully. No quick jumps into the driver's seat like you'd see in other cop shows. Tom had to fold himself into that car like origami. The steering wheel position was another nightmare. In some shots, you can actually see Tom hunched forward in an unnatural position just to reach the pedals while still being able to see over the wheel. His knees were often jammed up against the dashboard. For 8 seasons, the man suffered for his art. Behind the scenes, photos show Tom stretching constantly between takes. His back must have been screaming. But on camera, he made it look effortless. That's acting, folks. Making the physically impossible look cool since 1980. Number 14. The Targa Top Solution. Because of Selleck's height issue, the show developed a signature look almost by accident. The 308 GTS is a Targa, meaning it has a removable roof panel. Guess what was removed for almost every driving scene? That's right, the roof. This wasn't just for aesthetics, it was pure necessity. With the roof on, Tom's head was practically pressed against it. Any bump in the road, and he'd get a concussion. So off came the top. This created that iconic windblown look that became synonymous with the show. Tom's hair fluttering in the Hawaiian breeze, the sun glinting off his aviator sunglasses. It was perfect for the paradise setting. But here's what viewers didn't see: the logistics nightmare this created. Hawaii has sudden rain showers, a lot of them. The crew had to constantly monitor weather conditions. They kept the roof panel nearby at all times, ready to slap it back on at a moment's notice. The removable panel itself could be stored behind the seats in a vinyl cover. But during filming, it usually stayed with the crew in a support vehicle. They actually had multiple roof panels for each car just in case one got damaged. Because without that option to remove the roof, Tom Selleck literally couldn't drive the car. The Targa configuration saved the show. Number 13. The mid-engine reality check. Here's something that might surprise you. The 308 wasn't your typical TV detective car. While other shows had their heroes driving front-engine muscle cars or sedans, Magnum was wrestling with a mid-engine, rear-wheel drive Italian exotic. The engine sits behind the driver, not under the hood. This completely changes how the car handles. Weight distribution is totally different from what most American drivers were used to. The car wants to rotate around its center, not plow forward like a traditional front-engine vehicle. For the stunt drivers, this was both a blessing and a curse. The balanced weight meant the car could corner like it was on rails, but it also meant that when things went wrong, they went wrong fast. Oversteer could snap around quickly, recovery required a delicate touch. Tom Selleck had to learn to drive this configuration for the show. He wasn't just sitting there while stunt doubles did all the work. Many of the casual driving scenes were actually him behind the wheel. The mid-engine layout also meant the front trunk, or frunk, was tiny. Props department had to get creative about where Magnum could store anything. That's why you rarely saw him putting anything in the car. There was literally nowhere to put it. The engine noise right behind your head was intense too. Dialogue recording during driving scenes was nearly impossible. Most conversations had to be dubbed in later. Number 12. The Quattrovalvole Power Play. When the show upgraded to the 1984 Quattrovalvole model, they weren't just getting a newer car. The QV was a different animal entirely. Quattrovalvole means 4 valves in Italian. 4 valves per cylinder instead of the previous 2. This was cutting-edge technology for the early 80s. The extra valves meant better breathing for the engine. More air in, more exhaust out, more power overall. But here's the kicker. Even with this upgrade, the QV only made about 236 horsepower. By today's standards, that's what you get in a decent sedan. Not exactly supercar territory, but in 1984, that was serious performance. The QV could hit 60 miles per hour in under 7 seconds. Top speed was around 156 miles per hour, though good luck hitting that on Hawaiian roads. The engine note changed too. The QV had a distinctly different exhaust tone from the earlier cars. More aggressive, more metallic. Audio engineers on the show had to adjust their recording techniques for the new sound. Ferrari was particularly proud of this advancement. They made sure the show's producers knew they were getting the latest technology. It was like a rolling advertisement for Ferrari's engineering prowess. The QV became the definitive Magnum Ferrari for many fans. Those last few seasons cemented the upgraded car in popular memory. Number 11. The fuel injection evolution. The progression from carburetor to fuel injection across the different Ferraris tells its own story. The original 79 model used traditional carburetors, old school, mechanical, temperamental in humid Hawaiian weather. Starting that carbureted Ferrari in the morning wasn't always guaranteed. The crew had to keep the cars meticulously maintained. One filming delay because a Ferrari wouldn't start could cost thousands of dollars. Then came the GTS sided with Bosch fuel injection. Suddenly, the car started reliably, every time. The fuel injection system was more efficient too. Better gas mileage meant less time refueling during long shooting days, but it wasn't all improvements. The fuel-injected cars had a different throttle response, less immediate. Some stunt drivers actually preferred the carbureted cars for action scenes. They liked the direct mechanical connection. The sound changed dramatically too. Carbureted engines have that distinctive gurgle and pop. Fuel injection smoothed everything out. More refined, but some argued less characterful. For continuity, they had to be careful not to use different variants in the same scene. An eagle-eyed viewer might notice the engine sound changing between cuts, the evolution of technology playing out in real time on network television. Most viewers had no idea they were watching automotive history unfold week by week. Number 10. The power steering absence. Here's something that would shock modern drivers. None of the Magnum Ferraris had power steering. Zero, zilch, nada. Every turn of that wheel required actual muscle. At low speeds, parking that Ferrari was a genuine workout. The steering wheel became heavy as a barbell. Tom Selleck's arms must have been burning after a day of filming. Watch the parking scenes carefully. You can sometimes see the effort required to turn the wheels when the car's barely moving. It's not acting. That's genuine physical exertion. Highway speeds were different. Once moving, the steering lightened up considerably, but any scene requiring tight maneuvering, that was a test of strength and endurance. The lack of power steering actually helped with performance driving though. The feedback through the wheel was incredible. Drivers could feel exactly what the tires were doing. Every pebble, every change in road surface. For the stunt drivers, this was invaluable. They could push the car to its limits because they knew exactly where those limits were. No power assistance meant no artificial numbness, but for a TV show requiring multiple takes of the same parking scene, it was exhausting. They actually had to schedule breaks for the drivers. their arms needed recovery time. Modern Ferraris all have power steering now. Progress? Maybe. But something was definitely lost in translation. Number 9. The top speed reality. The show loved to make it seem like Magnum was flying around the island at incredible speeds. The reality? Those 308s topped out around 156 miles per hour. And that was under perfect conditions. In the real world of Hawaiian filming, they rarely broke 80. First, Hawaiian roads weren't exactly designed for high-speed pursuits. Narrow, winding, often wet from sudden rain showers. Pushing a mid-engine Ferrari to its limits would have been genuinely dangerous. Second, the film crew couldn't keep up. Camera cars had their own speed limitations. Going too fast meant losing the shot. Most chase scenes were filmed at much lower speeds than they appeared. The magic of editing made 40 miles per hour look like 90. Clever camera angles, sound effects, quick cuts, all creating an illusion of speed. The insurance requirements were strict too. Exceeding certain speeds would void the production's coverage. One accident at high speed could shut down filming for weeks. When they did need genuine speed shots, they used professional drivers on closed courses. Often early in the morning when roads were empty, these scenes were planned meticulously, every turn mapped, every potential hazard identified. The 156 miles per hour top speed was mostly theoretical for the show, but it sounded impressive in promotional materials, and that's what mattered for the Ferrari mystique. Number 8, the fleet management nightmare. Managing at least 5 versions of each model year meant the show had a minimum of 15 Ferraris in rotation at various times. 15. Let that sink in. Each car needed its own maintenance schedule, its own insurance, its own storage. The logistics were insane. They had spreadsheets tracking which car was where, which one needed service, which was scheduled for filming. It was like running a small Ferrari dealership. The cars designated for close-ups were treated like museum pieces, climate-controlled storage, weekly detailing, regular mechanical checks even if they hadn't been driven. Any imperfection could ruin a shot. The stunt cars lived a harder life. After action scenes, they'd need bodywork, suspension adjustments, sometimes complete mechanical overhauls. The production had a dedicated Ferrari mechanic on call. 2 cars were always kept in ready-to-film condition. If one broke down, they needed an immediate replacement. No waiting for parts from Italy, no delays for specialized service. The spare parts inventory alone was worth a fortune. Extra wheels, body panels, engine components, all kept on hand just in case. Some cars were cannibalized for parts to keep others running. A harsh fate for a Ferrari, but the show must go on. By the series' end, tracking which parts were on which car was nearly impossible. Number 7. The Certification Authentication. Years after the show ended, Ferrari started certifying which cars were actually used in filming. This wasn't simple. Serial numbers had been recorded, but not always accurately. Some documentation was lost, memories faded. They had to cross-reference production records with Ferrari's delivery logs, match up dates when specific cars were in Hawaii, compare wear patterns with film scenes. It was automotive archaeology. The certification process became incredibly valuable. A certified Magnum Ferrari was worth significantly more than an identical model without the paperwork. Suddenly everyone claimed their red 308 was from the show. Ferrari had to develop strict authentication protocols. They examined everything, paint layers showing multiple resprays, unique modifications made for filming, wear patterns consistent with TV production use, even DNA evidence in some cases. Tom Selleck's hair found in a seat crevice. Some cars couldn't be definitively authenticated. They had the right characteristics but lacked paper trail. These exist in a gray zone, probably from the show but not provably so. Their values reflect this uncertainty. The authentication process continues today. As new documentation surfaces, more cars get verified. It's like finding lost treasure. Each authenticated car adds to the show's automotive legacy. Number 6. The designer heritage. Every 308 GTS wore bodywork penned by Pininfarina, the legendary Italian design house. This wasn't just any car designer. Pininfarina shaped automotive dreams, Ferrari's longtime partner in creating rolling sculptures. The 308's design was actually quite radical for its time. Clean lines, pop-up headlights, that distinctive flying buttress C-pillar. It looked fast standing still. But what viewers didn't know was the engineering underneath. The car used a tubular steel frame, not the modern monocoque construction. This made it lighter, but also more flexible. You could actually see the body flex slightly over bumps. The GTS designation meant Gran Turismo Spider, technically making it a convertible even though it just had the removable Targa top. This classification mattered for import regulations and insurance categories. Pininfarina's design aged beautifully. While other 80s cars look dated now, the 308 still turns heads. Those clean lines translated perfectly to television. The car looked good from every angle. Critical for a show that made the car a co-star. The design influenced Ferrari's future models too. Elements from the 308 appeared in later cars, the Magnum effect spreading through Ferrari's lineup. Pininfarina probably never imagined their design would become a television icon, but that's exactly what happened. Art meeting pop culture at 236 horsepower. Number 5. The Targa Top Storage System. That removable roof panel wasn't just yanked off and tossed aside. Ferrari engineered a specific storage system for it. The panel could be stowed behind the seats in a custom vinyl cover. Sounds simple, it wasn't. The panel was large and awkward, made of painted metal and glass. One wrong move and you'd crack the rear window or scratch the paint. The storage procedure was specific: release the front latches, then the rear, lift carefully to avoid hitting the windshield frame, rotate exactly 90 degrees, slide into the storage bag. The vinyl cover had to be positioned perfectly. Too loose and the panel would rattle. Too tight and you'd stress the material. The crew developed their own quick removal technique for filming. They could have that top off in under 30 seconds, but proper storage took several minutes. During filming, they rarely used the behind-seat storage. The panel usually went straight to a support vehicle. This kept the car's interior clear for shooting and prevented damage from repeated storage cycles. The storage bag itself became a valuable accessory. Original bags in good condition now sell for hundreds of dollars to collectors. A vinyl bag for hundreds of dollars. That's the Magnum effect. Some cars on the show had multiple storage bags, backups for the backups, because one torn bag could delay filming if they needed to properly stow the top. Number 4. The Green 308 Mystery. In a few episodes, a Green 308 GTSI makes appearances, not red, green, with a different license plate, Robin 23. This car was supposedly driven by Robin Masters' nephew, but why green? The explanation was never really given. Some theorize it was simply another Ferrari that was available for filming. Others think it was a deliberate choice to show the Masters family had multiple Ferraris. The color was unusual for Ferrari at the time. Red was traditional, yellow was sporty, but green, that was a special order color. This car's appearances were rare, enough that many fans don't even remember it, but it's there. Canon proof that Magnum's Ferrari wasn't the only one in the Masters fleet. The green car created continuity questions. If there were multiple Ferraris available, why did Magnum always drive the red one? Was it his designated car? Did he just prefer red? These questions were never answered. The green Ferrari disappeared from the show without explanation, like it never existed. But photographs from production prove it was there. Another mystery in the Magnum automotive universe. Today, that green specification would be incredibly rare. A 308 in that color would command a premium just for being unusual. Add the Magnum connection and you've got a collector's dream. Number 3. The Horsepower Misconception. 236 horsepower from the Quattrovalvole. That's it. Today you can get that from a Honda Accord, but people watched Magnum and assumed he was driving some 1,000 horsepower monster. The show did nothing to correct this assumption. The way they filmed it, the sound design, the reaction shots, everything suggested massive power. In reality, the 308 was quick but not blazing fast. 0 to 60 in about 6.8 seconds. Respectable for 1984. Laughable by today's supercar standards. But here's the thing, it didn't matter. The Ferrari mystique transcended actual numbers. It was about presence, about exclusivity, about that prancing horse badge. The show understood this. They never mentioned horsepower figures, never talked about performance statistics. They let the car's image do the talking. Smart move. Viewers filled in the blanks with their imagination. In their minds, Magnum's Ferrari was the fastest thing on 4 wheels. Reality would have been disappointing. This perception helped Ferrari immensely. People assumed all Ferraris were incredibly powerful. The 308 became an entry point into the brand, a gateway Ferrari that seemed more impressive than it actually was. The Magnum effect turning modest specifications into legendary status. Number 2. The collector market impact. The Magnum PI effect fundamentally changed the collector car market for 308s. Before the show, these were just used Ferraris. Nice cars, sure, but not particularly special in Ferrari's hierarchy. After Magnum, everything changed. Suddenly, every 308 owner claimed their car might have been on the show. Red ones especially saw value increases. Even cars that never went near Hawaii benefited from the association. The GTS model became more desirable than the GTB Berlinetta Coupe version, simply because Magnum drove a GTS. This was unprecedented. A TV show single-handedly altering an entire model's market dynamics. Dealers started advertising cars as Magnum spec if they were red with tan interior. Didn't matter if they were built years after the show ended, the association was marketing gold. Restoration. Shops reported a surge in requests to convert cars to GTS specification. Owners of coupes wanted Targa tops. The modification wasn't cheap or easy, but people paid for the Magnum look. The show created a template that's still followed today. Red paint, tan leather, black soft top. It's the definitive 308 color combination. Now, thanks entirely to a television production's arbitrary choice. Even Ferrari acknowledged the impact. They've referenced the Magnum connection in their own marketing. The show became part of the company's official heritage. Number 1, the legacy that won't die. Here we are, decades after Magnum PI ended, and that Ferrari is still iconic. More people recognize the 308 GTS than almost any other Ferrari model, not the F40, not the Enzo, the 308. Because of a TV show. The car has appeared in countless other productions since, always as a reference to 80s cool, always with someone making a Magnum joke. It's inescapable. The association is permanent. Ferrari has made faster cars, more beautiful cars, more exclusive cars, but none with the cultural impact of the 308 GTS. It democratized the Ferrari dream, made it seem attainable. That's powerful. Tom Selleck can't escape it either. Decades later, people still ask him about the Ferrari. He's done Shakespeare, won Emmys, starred in multiple successful series, but he'll always be the guy who drove that red Ferrari. The show's reboot tried using a different Ferrari, a 488 Spider. Beautiful car, incredible performance, nobody cared. It wasn't the 308, it didn't have the magic, that's how powerful the original combination was. The 308 GTS is now a guaranteed classic, values keep climbing, not because of performance or rarity, because of 8 seasons of television that captured imagination. Every car show features them. Every Ferrari gathering includes several. They're rolling reminders of when one TV show and one car created magic. The weird thing, most of these facts were never supposed to be public. The multiple cars, the modifications, the authentication drama. It was all behind the scenes necessity. But these secrets make the story even better. They show how much work went into creating that effortless cool. And there you have it, 20 weird facts about Magnum's Ferrari that prove truth really is stranger than fiction. From Tom Selleck literally not fitting in the car, to Ferrari secretly taking back and reselling the cars after filming, the story of that red 308 GTS is way more complex than anyone imagined. Did any of these facts surprise you? Drop a comment below and let us know which one blew your mind the most. And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive into 80s television automotive history, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We've got plenty more classic TV secrets where these came from. Until next time, keep your Hawaiian shirt pressed and your Ferrari dreams alive.